August 11th, Cedar Fair unveiled their 2023 plans and it has been met with mixed reception. I personally like a lot of what was announced, but seeing how a lot of these announcements were very similar in terms of scale, I thought it would be a fun idea to rank all of them and decide who is the biggest winner. There's a total of 3 coasters going to the chain, but I think it would be fair to say that none of these rides are blow you out of the water good. However, there's a lot of solid attractions coming throughout the chain. I think there were also a lot of polarizing additions that the chain came out with. I'm definitely interested to see how you guys react to this video in the comments. That said, this is just my opinion, so don't rage if you have the complete opposite thoughts of what I say. Announcements for new additions to the parks have honestly become one of the most hotly contested topics of the entire community, and people need to chill out. I think it is fair to critique additions and talk about stuff we would have liked to see and what we think would have improved the investment, but when people start going off the rails complaining about additions demanding record-breaking RMC T-Rexes, Gigas, and extreme spinning coasters by whining and swearing illogically isn't good practice, and I'm sure the parks don't appreciate that, as most of them put a lot of effort into these rides. At the end of the day, it is a new addition to a park that is doing their best to improve the experience for all guests, not just enthusiasts. Also, something is almost always better than nothing, so let's just be civil. That said, if you enjoy hearing some untempered thoughts on new amusement park additions, do me a favor and like the video, show your support for what I'm doing, and subscribe to the channel for more analysis type content coming soon. That said, let's start out with some smaller announcements. This one sort of doesn't count, but Cedar Fair talked about this in their press release, and I like the number 7 more than I do 6, so this is why it's here. All that was really announced here was that Grand Carnival will return to Carowinds, Dorney Park, King's Dominion, Kings Island, and Worlds of Fun. 10 of the parks will have Halloween events, those being either Haunt or Tricks and Treats, and Winterfest will return to Carowinds, California's Great America, King's Dominion, Canada's Wonderland, and Kings Island. One other thing they stated is that they will be working to expand and improve food and beverage across the chain, but they didn't give any specific details of what they'll be doing chain-wide, but some specific parks made announcements regarding that. Now let's get into the good stuff. Coming in 6th, we have some smaller stuff coming to California's Great America. I'm pretty surprised that California's Great America is getting anything after it was announced that the park will close within the next 11 years, but I'm not going to complain. They will be having a Peanuts celebration where the Peanuts characters take over the park. They also are planning on upgrading the All-American Corners area with a new show, food options, and a new ride. The ride is a scrambler called Liberty Twister that was delayed from 2022, but it's still cool to see the park follow through on it anyway because they could have easily given this ride to another park. They also are fixing up the old Enterprise, which is something that I can certainly appreciate. With these additions, I think it is fair to say that California's Great America will keep operating for at least a few more years. And they will probably keep the water park and kids area open if it is still profitable, especially since they seem to be interested in upgrading those areas. This announcement is something I might be underselling a bit, but it looks pretty cool. First off, Knott's is updating their hotel, which is certainly good to see, but the main announcement they made regarding the park is that they will be revitalizing the Fiesta Village area to further celebrate Hispanic influences on Southern California culture. They posted a walkthrough of the entire land showcasing various improvements to the theming around the area that will enhance the experience, entertainment options, dining and shopping in the area, and just the overall atmosphere of the area as well. We did get a sneak peek of what Montezuma's Revenge will look like after its refurbishment. From what we know, it will be renamed Montezuma, the Forbidden Fortress, and will feature a randomized launch sequence. Other than that, we didn't get too much of a look at what the ride will look like after the refurbishment, so there's an element of mystery to this announcement. However, Fiesta Village looks like it'll be a great area, and I can't wait to see how the new Montezuma looks. Cedar Fair is going all out with their new areas this year, as we are seeing an aviation themed area with 4 new rides and 1 newly rethemed ride coming to Carowinds. The new rides go as follows: Air Racer is Imperla Air Race, Gear Spin is Imperla Nebula, Airwalker is Imperla Disco, and Gyro Force, a Trabant style ride that could be from Chance Rides. Hover and Dodge will be the park's rethemed bumper car ride as well. On some sources, such as Instagram, The park stated that there will be 5 new rides and 1 rethemed ride, making for a total of 6 new experiences at Aeronautica Landing. So I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. This area will also feature a new game, 2 new and 1 upgraded dining venues themed around aviation as well. Overall, this area looks awesome, especially since Cedar Fair has done a nice job the past few years theming up these new areas. However, one thing that Aeronautica Landing is lacking is a certain type of ride that the top 3 announcements all have. I find that this and number 2 are very close, but number 2 won the edge because this flat ride looks wild and definitely has potential to make people sick, which would not be ideal. Tundra Twister is another crazy flat ride to go to Canada's Wonderland, and to me this ride looks like if you put a couple of top scan arms on a frisbee arm. I've never done a top scan, or at least not that I remember, but I'm assuming that it'll be very intense. This ride is also huge as it will be around 150 feet tall and will hit a top speed of 46 miles per hour. I will say that I'm a little surprised Wonderland is getting another flat this large, as they already have a bunch of thrilling flat rides, so it doesn't seem like the most sensible addition, but I do think it'll be a nice ride for the area next to Yukon Striker. Now the roller coaster the park is getting is actually a family launch coaster, which I think will be something that will benefit the park in many ways. It's a clone of a coaster at Phantasiana in Austria and it will be manufactured by Art Engineering. Not a whole lot stands out about this ride, but it's definitely a step up from some of Wonderland's other family coasters in the Planet Snoopy area. Overall, these additions are sneakily pretty solid and might want to make me return to the park in 2023. Cedar Point is completely redoing the area where Wicked Twister used to stand, and I love what they are doing. They are building a giant retro-looking building called the Grand Pavilion that will encompass some restaurants with dining options that you won't be able to find anywhere else in the park. They will also have a lakeside bar, patios, and plenty of places to get a great view of the beach. Cedar Point has done a really nice job with their restaurants over the past few years, so I'd expect this to be the pinnacle of all their restaurants that they've added. They also will be relocating a couple of flat rides to this area, those being Matterhorn and Scrambler. The most notable addition is Wild Mouse, which is a Zamperla Twister coaster. The name of the coaster is actually a throwback to a coaster that used to be at the park, and it looks like the entrance sign will be somewhat similar to what the old Wild Mouse entrance sign used to look like. The interesting thing about this coaster is that it will be more of a traditional spinning coaster than a Wild Mouse, as it only features a couple of hairpin turns, and the rest of the layout consists of some turns and dips. This will probably ride something like a Mauer spinning coaster more than a traditional Wild Mouse, so it's nice to see a little creativity. Now the capacity of this coaster doesn't look to be too great, as only 4 people can ride per car, but I'm sure Cedar Point will run this coaster to the absolute max. I'm personally excited to see this area of the park get a breath of fresh air, with the added bonus of a new roller coaster thrown in there as well. Taking the top spot is Worlds of Fun, who is getting the largest addition roller coaster wise coming to any park in the chain. The name of this roller coaster is actually a reference to the park's defunct Schwarzkopf Jumbo Jet, and I'm going to say it now, this ride is weird. To put this into perspective, it's a modern wooden coaster based on an old school Schwarzkopf steel coaster. I got a decent amount of this coaster right in my prediction, but I missed on the inversions, and this thing has a spiral lift. Like man, I was convinced this would not happen, and I even told Cole from Park Pros I'd do the spiral dance if he got that right, and well, here it is. Anyway, another thing that caught me off guard about this coaster is that it would be more of a family thrill coaster. I thought it would be on a similar intensity level and scale as Prowler, but I was wrong about that. This coaster will be a combination of Titan track and traditional wooden track, and will feature GCI's new Infinity Flyer trains. The Titan track will be utilized on the spiral lift hill and an adjacent curve, and the rest of the track will be made of wood. Another thing about this ride is that it will have a straight drop, which is something that is rare for a GCI coaster, but maybe it is something we could see more of in the future. This ride will be a fast-paced, low-to-the-ground fun ride that will probably feel a lot faster than the 45 miles per hour that this coaster will hit. Worlds of Fun will also be celebrating their 50th anniversary next season, which will include lots of entertainment, including the 50 Nights of Fire, which is said to be the hallmark show of the celebration. Altogether, Worlds of Fun is in for an amazing year with a cool celebration and one of the most unique coasters ever built. To wrap this list up, Cedar Fair has a solid lineup of attractions coming in 2023, especially when comparing the lineup to the past two pandemic-stricken years. There's a lot of new events, areas, and rides that should make for a great year for the chain, and I'm excited to see how some of the new coasters ride. Announcement season has returned, and I'm hyped to see all these new announcements coming out, with a slew of new roller coasters being announced for next year. Do you agree with how I ranked up these announcements? I think 2 through 5 were all very interchangeable, so make sure to let me know your list down in the comments below. Also, tell me which ride you are most excited for coming to a Cedar Fair park as well. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more coverage on announcements and future attractions all across the industry. With all that being said, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.